Yes, everybody, welcome back to episode 50 of What the Devil. I'm Dylan from United District, and I'm joined today by Marcel and Yusuf. We're going to be talking about the latest disasters that are going on with our football club, from Luke Shaw to Lisandro Martinez to the transfer window to Ruben Amorim, what the rest of the season holds. But before that, make sure to listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts if you can't listen on YouTube or you're on the go. But apart from that, we're going to get straight into probably the worst part of this news in the last week is Lisandro Martinez has done his ACL, I think it's his ACL, and he's out for 6 to 8 months, which is obviously, that's devastating, right? I mean, he was doing so well for us. He got 2 goals and an assist so far this season. He looked like he was properly hitting his stride, understanding Amorim's system, step forward, step back and everything. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, we have no first team left-footed centre-backs left who've played significant minutes for the club. Obviously, we've got Aiden Heaven, who's played like 11 professional minutes in his career. So that's not exactly it's just a weird situation. It's sad, and I'm gutted for him. I'm gutted for him. I'm gutted for the team. I'm sure Amorim is gutted. He's going to be gutted beyond belief because this is now another 6 to 8 months of rehabilitation after going through the injury problems that he's already had. But we had to talk about how we replace him, because it's not just necessarily swapping some centre backs out for each other. It's as I said, it's the only realistic person who can play in that left centre back role. Yeah, who's a natural centre back.
It's going to be really difficult, Yusuf and Dylan, because the angles that the left-sided centre back needs is preferable if you have a left-footed player there. By the way, speedy recovery for Martinez. It was just so sad to see. It was quite innocuous.
You could tell immediately as well.
And he was just
so gutting.
Oh, it was just really horrible to see, to be honest with you. And then just everyone carrying him out and that. And he was barling as well. It just didn't look nice. So there's that. But in the same way, Aiden Heaven's come about. Quite a physical profile. Okay, you got to get used to the speed of the Premier League and stuff. But left-sided centre-back, I think it's an opportunity. Right now, with the situation that we're in as a football club as a whole, within this season, just, you take risks, take as many risks as possible. And, throw in a youth player into this environment where we're losing games for fun. We can't play the manager system clearly, don't have the characteristics of the players. But the best way to replace him, I think, is go with what we've been built on, which is youth players coming into the team and adding to the team. Yes, within moments, Rashi's come into a team where it's been in a good moment, or, Greenwood has had, a good mixture of players to come into a team with. And obviously players that are of, this current era, they won't be coming into a good Manchester United team. Aiden Heaven, Harry Amas, all these players.
Coming into just one of the most diabolical teams we've seen in a long time.
And it's been progressively year on year, manager to manager. So what I would say is it's the bottom line now. Just try and throw those youth players in there and see what they can do, because you do need the characteristics for the system to work in a certain way. I think Ruben's been really clear and articulate on that. And I would like to see him have a go. He's big enough anyway. He looks like a big player. He looks like a big man already, Aiden Heaven. So I think
he's so tall. I think Dorgu is about 6'1", 6'2",
he's like 6'4",
and he was dwarfing him on the football pitch.
I think he can handle it physically. It would just be about intelligence, having a Maguire next to him, coaching him through the game, having the likes of a Mazwari or somebody that can just coach him and talk to him every minute of the game. So
do you think it's the most sensible idea though? If he just starts playing, yes, or is what over planning anyone else, let's say, playing De Ligt there or something?
Oh no, well, okay, yeah, you can start maybe more of your senior players there, but we've got maybe 20 odd games left of the season.
If we progress in the competition,
so you got Europa League, maybe that's 8 games or so. Premier League's maybe 10 or so. It's 20 games left. Whether you're gonna be using all 3 of your centre backs throughout the whole 20. We just lost one, and we only had 6, I think, before. So 5 centre backs for the 20 games. I think someone else is gonna need minutes there, and I think you use him as soon as possible this season.
No, 100%. I think he'll play this season. I think he'll get some starts and everything. I think that's how we were able to convince him to join. The same way that we said with Obi Martin last season. It was
same for him as well.
You start the academy, but the idea is you come up. Same with Sekou Kone and everything like that. So I think he will play.
Same thing.
But I'd be wary about throwing him in against Leicester, for example. I think that'd be too soon. I think play someone like Maguire was when he was playing left centre back under Ten Hag. Maybe put him there, or maybe put Yoro's quick. Maybe play him there, and Yoro can stay further back with. Because I'm assuming Dorgu's going to play.
Yeah,
I hope so.
How old is Dibbling? Dibbling's what, 20, 18,
Tyler
19?
Dibbling?
Yeah.
He's 18, 19.
Teens, so teens as well. So the point is, if they show acumen and ability level, why not play them? But you have to try them first to discover that. That's why.
Yeah, but I think the club, despite Martinez's injury, I think the club should stay a little wary of Aiden Heaven. And like bleed him in, don't throw him in now. I think shouldn't start against Leicester, but maybe if we get an easy Europa League draw, or he comes off against the bench a few times, has a few minutes, gets to the squad, then can start doing it. Then I think maybe it'd be a sensible decision. Yusuf, what about you?
I think there's absolutely no way we should throw Aiden Heaven in the deep end. Absolutely none. I think that he's clearly a talented player, has a bright future. One of the reasons he left Arsenal is because he actually wanted to play midfield more, and a lot of people are saying actually he probably suits midfield a bit more. When he's defending on the last line, he can be quite rash. He can struggle a bit. We've seen Yoro struggle already, but Yoro is, in certain games, obviously he's looked very good in others, but Yoro is a lot, and I mean a lot more ready to play at this level than Aiden Heaven is. I really, really do not think. If anything, we should put Kukonki in before Aiden Heaven as that left-sided centre-back. I think Heaven, he will see minutes, but I don't think he's right. I think for me it's got to be Mazraoui in that left centre-back role. I've been crying for a long time, put Mazraoui in the back three anyways, because I think the team is better for it. I think Mazraoui himself is better for it, but I say put him on the left side because he's really comfortable with his left foot, and also he's one of the only real players I think who, whilst not to the same level as Lisandro, can fill that gap that Lisandro leaves in possession, because he's so just good at moving the ball forwards, progressing it. He's really intelligent. He can really take control of the ball for the team. So I think you've got to put Mazraoui there. It's quite simple for me. To be honest, I think also because he's quite comfortable defending those wide areas, being a fullback, it does help having him in that wide centre-back role. But yeah, the other option, like you said, you could put Maguire there. I actually think Maguire suits the wide centre-back roles better than the middle role. In the back three, there's this narrative about Maguire in the middle. I personally don't really like it a lot. I don't think it suits him or his game particularly well. I don't think it helps the team as much as people kind of think. I think with Maguire, there's an idea and a reality, and they've always been very different on both sides. There's the people who don't like Maguire. This idea of him, actually, no, he's really not that bad. But then the people who love him, they will make him out to be something that, respectfully, he's not.
Yeah.
Or somewhere in the middle. But I don't like Maguire in this middle role. To be honest, I think De Ligt is by far the best player for that. So for me, Mazraoui on the left is best because Mazraoui is comfortable with his left foot. I feel like he is the best option to play there. Now that we've got Dorgu, who is a natural left footer, it does help having him on the left. You can have De Ligt in the middle and then Yoro Maguire on the right. You could even possibly put Diogo Dalot on the right, that back three. In the Europa League game against Rangers, he actually ended the game playing on the right of that.
Yeah, and he wasn't bad. It's about he had about half an hour there, and I think he was actually pretty alright.
I think it could actually help him again. He's a player who he needs to play in the middle a little bit more. He's not suited to being a wing back at all. But I think then Ahmad should fill that right wing back role.
I was going to come on to this. I think that Martinez's injury means Amorim now has to make that decision to change the wing. So Martinez's injury plus Dorgu coming in means that Ahmad now has to completely change his fullbacks. I really don't think he has a choice other than to play Dorgu on the left and Ahmad on the right.
It should have been the case anyways, but now that Lisandro's injury is a trigger of a few things. Mazraoui moving into the back three has got to happen. Ahmad to wing back, and then I actually think Eriksen should see a few more minutes in the team. I'd quite like to see him play in those 10s. I think, obviously, we know physically he's not at this kind of same level he was, but he does still work hard. But I think the team plays better football with Eriksen in it. I think the team plays much better football with Eriksen in it.
But can Eriksen play that much?
I don't think he can play that much, and that's the thing. You can't play him every game, so you've got to find a solution. But I really think Eriksen should see more minutes. This team is, with him in the 10s, is a better team than it is without Eriksen, in my opinion. His technical quality, but his intelligence in possession.
Control.
As well. Control, but also creativity. He just adds so much to the team that is missing otherwise. And I think set pieces he's better on set pieces than Fernandes is.
Yeah.
So Fernandes, I love him, but his corner's hitting the first man every time. Oh my word.
Do you think then in that case that Eriksen could be a key to maybe winning the Europa League if we use him purely as a Europa League player. Because if we're looking at the Europa League as, and we'll get onto this in a bit, but if we're looking at the Europa League as kind of that's the do or die for our season now.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And the Europa League is, with all due respect, for the most part, less intense than the Premier League.
Yeah.
If we were to use Eriksen just in the Europa League, that could potentially be, we're playing our best football with him, therefore in the Europa League, and we could then have our best shot actually winning the competition.
I'd use him in the league a bit as well, but Europa League, I think you've got to play him in the Europa League. I think he makes a big difference there. I think Ahmad's now got to play him. I know a lot of people saying, well, who's going to play in 10? Got Eriksen there. Kobe's now shown he can play a little bit higher up. You can play Fernandes there with Kobe in his more natural position. You can you can play Xerxes there. I think him and Højlund coming off the bench on Sunday, I liked how I saw potential of how the dynamic could work. So Xerxes didn't have the best cameo. He was a little bit sloppy. I'll be honest, I thought he should have started the game. I really didn't get why Manu started as the full stand. I think what he wanted was to kind of create a little bit of disorganisation by not having a set striker, but then they realised actually there's just no one here. So I think Xerxes should have started because he still creates that disorganisation because he's not a typical 9, but he just offers more of a focal point. But off the bench, he wasn't great, but I saw how the dynamic could work when that Højlund is occupying the defenders higher, and that actually gives Xerxes a bit of space to drop. And there were a couple moments where it looked like, we had a couple of promising opportunities come from it. So yeah, I think, Xerxes and Højlund could possibly play together. Part of the problem is we don't have an experienced guy to relieve pressure from both of them. So I feel for both of them a lot. They both get a lot of flack, but I actually think, where they're painted as perpetrators, they're actually victims of the attacking problem at the club. I don't think there's any kind of one player who's really responsible. I think actually all of the attackers are victims a little bit of just not building the squad properly and kind of cultural issues. But yeah, so it's kind of separate conversation.
Yeah. I get what you mean about the feeling sorry for them thing. I think not bringing an attacker in this window was
crazy.
It's a stupid move by United considering the fact that we got rid of Antony and Rashford, obviously less so important but also Wheatley. And then also the likes of Ethan Ennis.
Malacia is gone. That's another he was playing at wing back, so he's not obviously an attacking player, but he was.
It's another potential creative outlet. But then we did get Dorgu in. I don't really see the Malacia thing as being too much of an issue because we've replaced him.
Yeah.
But I do think after all the news has come out that United were right not to get Tell from Bayern.
Yeah.
Because the window, if you in isolation look at the two players we signed, I think we actually made two quality signings. I think bringing in Heaven with the potential that he has, and as you said before, we could send it back, but then maybe playing him as midfielder as well because we are lacking in the midfield department. Long term, maybe bringing him in, cool. And then obviously Dorgu was just so everyone knows that Dorgu was so needed. That's as far as I'm concerned, for now a 10 out of 10 signing. Obviously, on the assumption that he plays well, but in the way that we just needed someone like that so badly. And his energy, his height, his speed, his kind of proficiency in attack and defence, it was needed. But obviously, they're not bringing an attacker while getting rid of, specifically Marcus Rashford, was a bit insane. But I do also think at the same time, I think we were right for not getting Tell.
Rashford is our most experienced attacker as well from the attackers that we have. So, we've talked about Højlund, we've got Højlund, Xerxes, Ahmad, Garnacho, but that's 23, just turned 22 and 20 in the attack. There's no experience in that. Bruno, if you put him in the attack, or Eriksen, if you put him in the attack, they're the ones who provide experience, but they're not true attackers, so it's a bit for them. But one thing, just to say, I find this really weird, right? You know how Dorgu's 25 million basically?
Yeah.
We signed Shaw for 30 million in 2014, and that was looked as a really big fee for a fullback, and now we're talking about Dorgu being a bargain at that price. Just kind of shows how crazy the market's gone.
Yeah, because Luke Shaw at the time was the most expensive teenager of all time. Now it's Dembele, I believe. Was it Mbappe?
I think it's Mbappe.
Was he not? Oh no, it probably is. Mbappe was 169 million or whatever it was. Luke Shaw was 30. Yeah, no, it is weird, but the market's crazy, and United are suffering from it. Yeah. Everything costs more nowadays, where we're now earning less money because we're worse, so we don't have the funds to compete with someone like Spurs signing Tell. And as much as it could have been a cool signing, It's a weird one because also I think he's got like 15 starts for Bayern in 85 appearances.
Yeah.
He's not scored a goal this season. But I think the frustration with United fans have of signing Tell, well, not signing Tell, sorry, was what it represented.
Yeah,
rather than specifically about him, because it's like 12 million euros, I think, for the 6-month loan, and Spurs have to fork out another 50 to sign him in the summer.
Well, we're paying a premium for progressing another player, and then if you want the player, you got to pay another expensive fee on top. But I just think it's all about characteristics in the system. I think that's really what's important. You got to understand the times you're in, and the times we're in is obviously the Ineos have extended the Glazers' stay by taking on the bulk of the financial happenings, and they're basically trying to squeeze the money that they can make out of the club as well now, the Ineos basically, and they can't afford to add in certain ways, so we have to go and take what you can afford. If we could have afforded to bring another player with this kind of qualities, especially the players that we've left out of the team as well, like we've mentioned, Malacia, Rashford, Sancho, Anthony, all these attacking type of talents have left, and some of them with the characteristics that can play in this system. So I just think we needed to bring any type of quality in, especially with some of the players that are currently in the squad don't have the characteristics as well. We're playing players that can't actually play in the system. Unfortunately, I'm going to mention him, Garnacho, one of the wide players that I just don't think can play in this system.
Garnacho's actually looked a lot better in recent games, but this is what I don't like, this idea of where you've got to recruit for the system. If you have good footballers, they will thrive in, pretty much any system. If the system's just isolating them like that, then there's issues with the system before the player, in my opinion. But I think Garnacho looks a lot better recently. I'm going to contest that point, actually.
No, I hear that. I think the point on having just good footballers is a good point, but then humans have profiles, body sizes, and you would then say, depending on his profile, what attributes he brings to the game, he's better suited to this part of the pitch or that part of the pitch. And I think that's what the formation is kind of showing, that what Garnacho, in terms of his characteristics, his profile, how he plays, he's better suited to play a bit higher up in the pitch, left wing and not left wing back, and the demands of that position and the characteristics for that position, he doesn't have all of them.
Higher up, though. What's been working is when Garnacho, he starts in that left hand, he'll pull wide, and then Dalot comes in. This helped Dalot as well, actually, when Dalot's been able to come inside.
Yeah.
And Garnacho
These are two players that
but
are not good enough.
Is that still going to happen when Dorgu plays?
No.
I think so.
Because
Yeah.
Dalot coming inside
yes and no.
has helped him.
Because Dorgu will come inside the pitch. He'll
It's
come
situational
he likes
for
to
Dorgu
combine
because he can do both. It's situational.
But
he
also
can do
because
both.
Dorgu's a natural left-sided player, he can provide a bit more of a natural overlap to help Garnacho get inside. I think people look at these formations, they think, okay, he's here on the board, he's just stuck here all game. No, it's not like that. Garnacho will pull wide, and Dorgu might be on the same line as him, but then Dorgu might overlap him and Garnacho can run inside, or Dorgu might underlap him.
If Dorgu's underlapping, I was about to say Sancho, if Dorgu's underlapping Garnacho, do you think that might help negate the effects of Martinez's injury? Because Martinez has been pushing up into that, almost in that area, and that's where, for example, when his assist Bruno Fernandes was Lisandro Martinez playing almost on the edge of the area, on that inside bit, stepping up from defence while someone else covers behind him. If Garnacho's wide and then Dorgu comes in, Dorgu would then be in the same space that Martinez was in.
I think we lose out in that Martinez. I really liked seeing him in the final third more, because you really saw the creative side of his game. You saw his passing quality, you saw his ball striking with those shots. There were the goals, but then there was one against Rangers where I was at the game and he just whacked it. And I thought he was going to go top bins. It was a really good hit. But I like seeing that creative side of his game more. You do lose that, and that Dorgu does need to work on the delivery stuff. But I think, it helps having that dynamism, and also that him actually being a left-footed player brings a different angle to the attack, a different dynamic, and that is something we've been desperately lacking. But Garnacho's also become, he's got his head up more, he's passing a lot more now, whereas before he would run into traffic a lot, or he'd always look to shoot. He's starting to pass quite a lot more, and I think that with Dorgu making those runs, Garnacho actually starting to embrace that side of it a bit more, Garnacho looking for the pass a bit more, could actually help him quite a lot. But
it does help him.
I think Garnacho, firstly, he's 20 years old. I don't ever want to write off a player who's still developing for the idea of a system. That's just the death of football for me. But I think, Garnacho especially, I don't actually think he's he can't fit the way people think he can't fit. In the recent games, he's showing actually
I think he's been good.
Well,
I think he's been good in the recent.
In
games.
recent games, it's been adjusted. He deliberately goes out wide because he can't play inside long enough, or for any period of time.
But
so he has to go out. So he has to go out wide.
You don't have to.
So then the fullback has to come inside. The last thing that you're talking about in the defensive line, that's always going to be the responsibility of the defender to cover that right defensive mid, right attacking mid space, and put these crosses in. You saw Mazraoui do it at the beginning stages from right defensive, from right centre back. He does that a lot. That's always a characteristic of a centre back within the system. Must always do that kind of get into the area where Martinez has been scoring those goals, and whereas Mari puts in these kind of KDB crosses. That's always part of their job, to squeeze our team up into they're like the last line basically, and then there's the goalkeeper behind them. So if we're really controlling a game and keeping the opposition in our half, you'll always see these scenarios where the centre back, one of the last two centre backs that you're talking about, would do that cross or get into them areas. But when we're talking about left wing back and left 10, the relationship between the two is meant to be multifaceted. Dorgu's meant to... Please, hold on.
Yeah, Yusuf, give him a second.
Yeah, please. Dorgu's meant to go both ways, and so is Garnacho meant to go both ways. The problem with Alejandro Garnacho is...
he can't go one of the ways?
But Ruben's told us this, Dylan. Ruben's told us the art of going inside and outside. And he was surprised that, he can go inside, is what he said. One of his first few games, when he put Garnacho inside on the left attacking mid, he was like, he can go inside, but it's not to that creme de la creme top level. So then he's always had to fix him to go outside, and that's where we can start attacking, and we get a little bit of joy because we can't score any goals because we've got players that are not suited to the style playing it. But if I can do an adjustment and keep him on the outside and let him attack from that way a lot of the time, and ask my wing back to always run inside so that there is a bit of movement and pulling the opposition system about, then we can still create something in this particular situation.
Do you think then that Garnacho can't learn to the extent that we need to go inside?
So what Yusuf is saying about the young player and all these kind of things is what we're built on. We know this. This is nothing new. Yes, give the player time, let him realise his potential. But even when you look at Garnacho and you think, where does his potential get to 100% completion? It's at left wing. We don't have a space there for that. We don't have footballers at this club that play specifically left wing. It's the predicament that we're in. So you need a footballer that can play left wing back, go back the other way. Garnacho can't do that. Play left and right. Garnacho can't do that. He can only play in the left 10 where you don't start in his natural position, where he likes to come, where there's nobody, there's the crowd behind him. He plays with the crowd behind him usually. That's how he's comfortable playing. And then it's attack into this area of the pitch. It's a completely different predicament as a left 10 and as a wing back. He can't do it. Can he impress and improve and progress? Yes. Does he have a very good base and stats, ability, potential? Yes. But I would happily have got Tellin, who for me in the left 10, back to goal, somebody right next to you, can create something, can play clever little neat passes in tight areas, can pick out people deliberately. Because Garnacho, a lot of the time when he's crossing, he's just whacking it across the box, trying to find. He's not really picking out players.
But to be fair, in Garnacho's defence, that's because we never have anyone consistently in the box.
Yeah, of course, it's a relational thing. But I don't feel like he's someone that picks out people when he's trying to deliver the cross. So I think Tell's got more suited characteristics for that left 10.
Yeah, no, perfectly fair enough.
This is the death of my football club that we're talking about. Left, we can't play wingers. You have to play a left 10, please, man. This is the death of my football club. Look, all right, I think Tell actually suits that role well. I think Tell suits the role better than Garnacho does. But look at the money that we're asking for a guy who's actually less proven than Garnacho. Realistically, I'm not saying whether he's better or not. He's less proven than Garnacho is. That didn't say he's not been able to break in a Bayern. I believe Tell's a big talent, but he's not been able to break in to that team properly. He's now gone to Spurs. I'm sure he'll do very well there. I wish him the best. I like to see talent do well, but like Garnacho, actually he can go inside, and he's shown he can go inside, and like he's developing on going inside. But also, that dynamic is important. It's important that we have. That the wing back can go inside as well as outside, because you can't just have the wing back on the outside, the attacker on the inside all the time, but then Ruben adapting to, get Garnacho in favourable situations, that's a good thing. That is a good thing as a manager, to be able to adapt and understand what your players' strengths and weaknesses are. Yeah. And, Dorgu will go inside. He likes to dribble inside the pitch a lot. He likes to combine, go inside the pitch. So if anything, it works. But Garnacho in the recent games has actually shown he can play on that inside better. So yes, he will drift out wide, but then sometimes he will actually be on the inside. And he's developing. But I just don't buy this idea. I think that like there's this idea of what a left 10 needs to be, or what Amorim wants a left 10 to be, and there's like a just completely different reality. So is Garnacho more comfortable starting wide than on the inside? Yes. But he's showing, and especially with the dynamic change of and if Ruben Amorim is married to such specific dynamics, where no, he has to like be on the inside all the time, then like get a new manager. But I don't think Amorim is that married to it.
I think there's a narrative that he is,
Yeah.
but I think he said before, like, you know, his system, the whole thing is he's got his system, but it's adaptable and he changes all the time.
Yeah, I think like Garnacho, like he can play in that 10 role.
Yeah, but it's more to do with what you're saying about being a pure footballer. He doesn't have the full attributes of being a pure footballer because he can't.
Old.
Yeah, yes, agreed.
I think
but it's like he can't attack both the inside and outside yet. He hasn't fully developed his game yet. So in this moment,
he is 20.
Yeah. So in this moment, I would have
though.
made that decision to swap out for somebody that has a better cover of all attributes required.
But then
in this moment,
you're not necessarily saying get rid of him. You're saying just have someone else who might cover for now while he learns.
Because we were in the Glazonomics and because we were broke and because we have tough decisions to make, I would have made that tough decision and said, okay, swap this one out. That doesn't cover everything. Yes, it could potentially cover everything, but I'll bring somebody else that can cover it, that has a bit more of everything now. Can play left.
But, you know, Tell is a bigger risk. So you're essentially saying to get rid of Garnacho, bring in Tell, who himself is a risk. If it was to get rid of Garnacho, bring in Kvaratskhelia, then fair enough. Kvaratskhelia actually does cover everything right now. But Garnacho, Tell is a very
he is
big
19.
risk.
He's a year younger than
Garnacho. He's still developing himself. You know, he might have some very good raw attributes, but then Garnacho also has very good raw attributes. I just think like it's not actually that smart. I think we've 100% done the right thing because the money like involved for Tell is just ridiculous.
It is a premium. We'll be selling Garnacho regardless though because he doesn't fit the system. That's why we will sell him when the time comes. Whether it's 150, whether it's 20, we will be selling him because he doesn't fit the system. That's why we'll end up selling him. Because when we get to the top level and we'll compete with the best teams, the second or first team, it's fine margins and we'll realize okay.
I don't buy this idea he doesn't fit the system though, but I don't want to sell talented, gifted footballers just because they don't fit a strict system. I would rather we, work the system around.
Yeah, but as you said, Yusuf, you don't think the system is actually that strict.
I don't think it's as strict as people say.
So therefore, he will be able to survive.
This is a common narrative people have.
It's one of the things where, as much as we can debate about it, we don't know what's like. He could stay, he could go. We might be forced to sell. He might just end up being a casualty. In the same way that I've said before, I think Dalot might end up being a casualty of the changes at United now because he simply doesn't fit the system in the way or in what Amorim wants in the way that another player could, and he might fit the system mostly, but there could be someone like you said about how do you say his name? You got to say it for me. There you go. I'm not even going to try and say that. Is that there could just be someone else out there. The opportunity arises in a year and a half's time where there's a 25, 26-year-old who is, slap bang, that is the perfect United player. And if United go, we could sell Garnacho for 80 million, get this guy in 45.
Yeah, that's what you should always be doing.
But that might not happen. Yeah. Like, this is what I'm saying. So as much as we can debate it, there's not. Yeah, it's going to be. I think Garnacho's future is just going to be one of those things of.
We'll see what
we'll see it. We'll see it in time.
That's what you should always be doing. Yeah, that's what you should always be doing. And it's like, Amorim does have it's not very strict system. It's a very adaptable one because we created.
He's showing that. Yeah, we named
the different versatile way of altering his system where you have a left hand that can't play both inside and outside, so he goes outside. Then the fullback comes inside. We're basically naming a play right now of what will happen, regardless of the best player in the world can play, but inside outside doesn't matter. We're naming very versatile happenings of the system, but within that, when you talk about a pure footballer, Garnacho's score's not that high because he can't. There's elements of what would count as a pure football. He doesn't have it. Go and find me another player that has more of that.
Yeah,
it's very simple.
Enough. If you, very simple. I think that's fair enough if that's what you want as a player.
I spoke a couple of weeks about targeting Kenan Yildiz in the summer, and he's a player I do think is better than Garnacho. But that's if we sell Garnacho. But yeah, yield is.
Yeah,
like,
but and I get for the whole
Rashford as
storyline,
well.
you keep Garnacho and he improves and he becomes. I get it because that's
It's gone
that's the
Real
basis
Madrid.
of this club. It's not winning trophies. It's
But I
stories
think
like that.
I think people just think, oh, we've got to get rid of Garnacho and buy a left 10. I'm like, no, well, no, actually, I'd rather just develop Garnacho for now. If an opportunity does come up to get a genuine upgrade on Garnacho, feel free to get a genuine upgrade on Garnacho. Is Tell right now 100% an upgrade? Like,
I agree with you on that. I don't think he is.
not
But
certain.
I'm gonna move this on now. We're gonna talk about the the rest of this season. So we're in the bin, right? I think unanimously we agree we're in the bin. We've won 5 games in January, and then have come off the back of a 2-0 loss again against Crystal Palace at home. Just every year they beat us at Old Trafford, and also seems at Selhurst Park recently as well.
It's because they didn't win there until like 2019.
I know it's outrageous, but like kind of the Premier League season for us, for the most part, for United is done. I think we've been agreeing. I think every United fan agrees on this. We were checking just before about kind of how many points we are off various different positions. It's what was it, 14 points off fourth, 7 or 8 points. I think 7 points off 8th, but the teams in 8th are Villa, and then 7th Bournemouth, 6th Newcastle. So we're not finishing one of those teams. So we're not getting Europe, right, through the league. That's just not happening. We are 4 points or 6 points off 10th. And so for me, a Premier League season, it's the lowest of my priorities where we finish Premier League, as long as we don't get relegated. But for me, I would like to see us finish top 10, purely because that means that we've won a few games.
Yeah.
Which is like my priority. But then my second biggest priority would be the FA Cup. Like, obviously, win the FA Cup. Because the biggest priority is the Europa League. There is no shadow of a doubt, because that's our only route into the Champions League. But should that fail, we still got to go for the Premier League. Sorry, the FA Cup, because that gets us into the Europa League, much like it did last year for this season. So at least it means we're back in the Europa League, which still gives us the 2 routes to the Champions League thing for the season after. And then the Premier League is what it is. If we finish 14th in the Premier League, I don't care.
Yeah.
I really don't, because I'm just going to brush it off. This is going to be our worst ever season in the Premier League. We've known this since November. So I don't care. It would just be nice to finish in the top half.
Yeah. It always gets one lower though. We always feel like next season it potentially could be the worst season ever again. It's quite scary. I agree with you though. The priority maybe is Europa League. The league is just done, and that's why we can, like we talked about earlier in the show, just maybe take risks on youth players. It's a difficult situation to put them into, but we're not going to achieve anything within the league structure now. And we've got a few top games, a few easier games. All hope and focus has to go into Europa League.
Yeah.
The likes of Ericsson might need rested. And there's the balance of the squad now. The forward lines are even thinner now. So, balancing and rotating the squad might mean, we get to see a couple younger players come into the fray, and I'm excited about that.
Yusuf, what do you think is kind of the goal for this season?
Win a game, not look like a relegation team, get 90 minutes of Luke Shaw.
That's never happening.
No, Europa League, I think it's got to be the focus. And I think one thing this team has shown, they can dig in. They can dig in and actually lock in for certain games, which is an issue in itself, that we only do it for certain games, and Amorim's highlighted it, and I'm glad he recognises that the mentality of the group is a problem. But you were looking at him with such admiration.
It's the way, it's just on the screen. He's so serious, man. That is the most serious photo I've seen in a decade.
Oh my gosh, nah.
He's a boss.
Outrageous.
No, I think we've shown we can dig in, and I think Amorim will understand that, and he'll probably try and get these players to dig in for those Europa League games.
We've got to. Siege mentality.
We've beaten Arsenal away, we've beaten Man City away, we got a draw at Liverpool away, and we actually competed and went toe to toe, and that came because we dug in. He knows what we're capable of when we do dig in, so he'll probably try and get them to do it. I think he knows he's not going to get it every single game. Again, a big problem. The culture of this club, as I've said countless times now, has
pathetic.
I think you could get one of those joke compilations of me on this pod saying culture.
Yeah, it's just culture.
But it's a massive problem. But I think he'll understand that, because we can dig in for isolated games, he'll try to do it for the Europa League. Try and get us all the way in the Europa League, because I'll be honest, the competition in the Europa League is not great.
Spurs is in there. Difficult game.
They're below us in the table.
Yeah, they're even worse
somehow.
than us.
What's our head-to-head this season against them though?
We
lost, but they've got half their team injured as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the only other team I think who we actually
Marseille?
potentially could play is I think like is one of our potential knockout ones is Real Sociedad.
Okay. Oh yeah.
But beyond that, I don't know about. I think pound for pound, in theory,
Mourinho's there as well.
We're the best team.
Mourinho's there, isn't it? Fenerbahce isn't. I think
Didn't they get knocked out?
Nah, he's in there. I think
Oh, no,
he's
that was Besiktas got knocked out. I think pound for pound, touch wood, we are still on paper the strongest team in that competition. But as you said, it depends on the cultural mentality that we have in those games. Like against Rangers, we went 1-0 up and then we conceded, but we got that winner. We dug in, we got that winning goal. It was great. Martinez is now injured. We got that winning goal. Against Pleasant, we went 1-0 down. We still managed to get 2-1 back up. Got that. Against Bodo, we were all over the place, and we still managed to get back. And in the Europa League, we have been able to get over the line, and that's how these competitions work. So in the Premier League, we shit the bed every week. But in the Europa League and in knockout games and when we're back against the wall, as you said, we still manage to grind it out. We're still able to show something and get something from those games.
We're just doing like Real Madrid gimmick, but in the Europa League.
Yeah, literally every single time. Yeah, but we're showing that we can do it. We really can do it. And I think that'll be the difference that potentially gets us over the line to what we need to do, which is win that bloody competition.
Well, I think we'll win it. I definitely think we'll win it. And I hope there'll be like a couple youth players that, make a big impact and a big say in it. Like an Aiden Heaven or Obi Martin, somebody like that. I really hope that they have a big say in what happens.
I agree.
Collier,
I agree.
Something like this.
I do love Collier.
I think he's he's a class act.
He is better than Ugarte.
I disagree.
He is better than Ugarte.
I disagree, but
Ugarte's like a warrior though, like a proper warrior.
He's having a battle with his feet when the ball's there.
I love watching Ugarte off the ball and win the ball, and then I just want him to get rid of it as soon as he can. I can't like that.
But he's a real midfield 2 player. He's just always there trying to come.
No, it reminds me of like Herrera a bit. But we kind of. I think we all agree that obviously, I think everyone on the planet agree, even non-United fans will agree that United's, it's the Europa League or bust for them. And the FA Cup.
There's a cup, yeah.
Yeah, we were playing Leicester on Friday evening, FA Cup, Ruud van Nistelrooy returning to Old Trafford, all that. Leicester are shockingly bad. Yeah. They really are, but it's an FA Cup game. In the same way that, we're shockingly bad and we got through past Arsenal. How serious... Because we've not got a game this weekend, we've not had a game in 4 or 5 days. I mean, personally, I want to see Amorim, got full strength against maybe like Bayindir and goal. I think he deserves that. Yeah. But apart from that, I still think, I want to see us full strength against it. Because Leicester, I don't think will. I don't think Ruud van Nistelrooy cares too much about the FA Cup. It'll be a nice day from whatever, go out, try your best. But I don't think they're going to necessarily be fielding.
I think if we get a comfortable win as well, just boost the confidence a little bit.
Especially after the Palace game. We've seemed to be able to bounce back from these continual losses at Old Trafford. It's like, for example, the Brighton game. We lost to Brighton 3-1. We managed to come back against Rangers. We've lost to Palace. Hopefully we can manage to come back in. Like, we do seem to be able to not let them affect us overly. But as Gary Neville's been pointing out and everything, it'd be nice to not lose in the first place. And cumulative losses obviously have a massive impact. Yeah. But I want to see us kind of full swing, gung-ho, actually just try and slap them out of the park. Like we did in the Premier League. Yeah. Was it the Premier League or was it the Carabao Cup? We played them. We played them in the Carabao Cup and we won like 5-2.
Casemiro rocket.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and then Bruno scored his first goal of the season, which is outrageous to come that long. But FA, I want to see us go full like Bayindir plus like full strength. I want to see Xerxes start. I want to see Ahmad at wing back, Dorgu debut, maybe some minutes for Evan Hayden.
Yes, please.
Evan Hayden.
Evan
Hayden. We've been filming for too long, man. I need to go back to bed. But I also agree with the Chido Obi Martin point. I want to see him. Yes. I just want to see him, even if it's 10 minutes, like Wheatley got last season. 10 minutes off the bench. Not necessarily this weekend.
Look at the situation.
But at some point.
We're at, Dylan.
Yeah, bro.
We're at our lowest low.
We may as well. Just send it. The guy's 6'3", rapid.
This season, in every single game, we should see an academy product, or there must be one or two that are really there.
Something, yeah.
Or maybe they're not there yet, but they're on their way. Mm-hmm. They're halfway. They're 75% where they can. A couple years or a year from now. But throw them in now early. Let them give a taste.
You've got to manage it, but managing it does include giving them minutes.
Yeah, 100%. You just got to decide when's right and when's not. You can't just throw someone in every game, but you have got a, you know.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying throw Chido Obi Martin from the start when we go and face Newcastle or anything.
Some of them drip feed in. Some of them like Collier's ready to play. You know, Collier's ready to start and should be starting.
Yeah,
now.
well, I
team,
count Collier as just one of
he's
the
a
first
first
team
team,
options now at this point.
But for me, Obi Martin should be there every single game. Maybe, and he should be on the bench, looking, watching. He should be there, arms folded, just watching. And then if he gets the call up, he gets the call up. 10 minutes here, 5 minutes, 15 minutes.
I can see what you mean with that.
Yeah.
But I think 5-10 minutes here and there, couple of appearances just on the bench. Just being around because he trained yesterday morning with the first team apparently,
this is beautiful.
And he was training earlier with the first team. So I think it's coming. I think it will come in the next month. But yeah,
I'm excited.
I was going to ask finally just score predictions for the Leicester games. I always ask. Yusuf, you never have ever said for us to do a loss, and I assume you're not doing so this week.
No, 3-1.
3-1.
We might be rubbish. I'm still not predicting us to lose.
I think 3-1's a good prediction. Actually, I'll go with that as well.
I'm gonna go 2-0. Because I don't think Leicester have been brilliant. So 2-0 win.
You reckon just a professional win?
Professional win.
Hopefully, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It'd be nice to see Ruud van Nistelrooy back as well. That photo of him and Amorim is going to be quite funny because obviously they've not actually met at all.
Yeah, they were meant to talk. They were
It'd be
meant
funny.
to chat.
You never know.
Yeah.
It's the FA Cup, so literally, you never know. But regardless, Marcel, Yusuf, it's been a pleasure to have you on as always, despite the fact that you guys always argue every time I get both of you on. It's been brilliant. And thank you guys so much for watching. This is the 50th episode. Quick round of applause for 50 up for the podcast. But thank you so much for watching. Let us know everything about what you've thought in the comments. Make sure to follow Dylan, me, United District. Make sure to follow Marcel, Yusuf. Subscribe to United View, and we'll see you next week.